My eldest son and his wife, along with their 3 kids, are also moving in. I had just purchased her dream home in Hawaii with a yard, thinking I would finally live a carefree life. Hearing my husband's words, I was shocked. As long as he and the eldest son's family were around, I knew I wouldn't be able to fully enjoy my life. Memories of the terrible treatment I had endured from them raced through my mind. Then, I decided to fight back. I quietly prepared my counterattack and awaited the moving day. When I checked my phone, there were dozens of missed calls from my husband at the house in Hawaii. "Hey! Finally picked up the phone! Where are you now? Do you know how many times I've called? Everyone is furious." His voice sounded desperate, but I calmly replied, "Oh, I thought you all were having fun without me. You can have that house. I'm not coming back, so you all better stick together." Although I told him so, my husband did not back down easily. "Come back home," he insisted. "And we can't use the electricity or the water. What's going on? You're just noticing now? Don't joke around. Come back right now." Hearing my furious husband, I couldn't stop laughing. It felt a shame to let go of the beautiful home in Hawaii, but if it meant getting a comfortable life in exchange, I supposed it was all right. Without me, they surely must be utterly lost by now. Just the thought made me smile. After being manipulated by my husband and eldest son's family for so long, I felt this retaliation was justified. I am Mary Omar. I'm now turning 60 this year. I had no special talents but lived a diligent life. To make a little extra cash, I worked part-time at a pharmacy 3 days a week. I lived with my husband Tadeo, who had retired last year. Tadeo was a typical authoritative husband who liked to command but couldn't do anything by himself. We have 2 sons. Our eldest, Ken. And our youngest, Thomas. Ken was always good at sports from a young age. My husband doted on the athletic Ken and spoiled him, which unfortunately made him arrogant. Ken was never good at academics, but he got into high school on a baseball scholarship and now works at a local auto factory. At 22, he got his girlfriend pregnant and they had a shotgun wedding. His wife, Anna, seems to regret getting pregnant and marrying under those circumstances, and she still complains about it, yet she went on to have 3 kids one after another. She doesn't seem interested in working and stays at home, but she's not great at cooking and often comes over to our place to eat. The family of 5 lives in an apartment near our house. Then there's Thomas. Unlike Ken, he wasn't much for sports but loved studying. He was a top student and a kind, thoughtful boy ever since elementary school. However, my husband never liked the reserved Thomas and didn't support his education. So, I used my savings to cover his educational expenses. But Thomas, being considerate of me, took out scholarships to go to college and grad school. I'm proud of him, although my husband couldn't care less. After graduating from grad school, Thomas landed a job at a major corporation and a few years later married his college girlfriend. His wife, Lynn, is smart and hardworking, and even after having a child, she works full-time. Just when I thought our sons were settled and I could relax, I realized I'd have to take care of my retired husband for decades, which weighed heavily on me. Then one day, I got a call from Anna, my eldest son's wife. Mother-in-law? I want to go out with my friends tomorrow, could you watch the kids for me? Again, I thought. Anna would call me out of the blue and ask me to take care of her kids. Lately, just hearing Anna's overly sweet way of talking makes me shiver. Tomorrow I have to work. If you had told me sooner, I could have taken the day off. What? Isn't your job just a part-time gig? You're not doing anything important and you're saying you won't take care of your adorable grandkids? Please take the day off. Don't be unreasonable. I can't cause trouble for my coworkers. Well, I can't inconvenience my friends either, so I'll be dropping the kids off at 9 tomorrow. With that, she hung up. I sighed deeply. There was no stopping Anna now. Sure enough, she would probably dump her 3 kids on me tomorrow. The oldest boy in preschool, the middle girl also in preschool, and the youngest girl born just last year. Taking care of 3 grandkids is tough. I talked to my husband about it. Honey, Anna wants us to take care of the kids tomorrow. I have to work, so could you look after them? What are you talking about? It's a woman's job to take care of kids. Just take the day off. Though he dotes on our eldest son's grandkids, he can't handle them alone. He leaves the hard parts like changing diapers and preparing meals to me, while he just watches TV with them or spoils them with snacks. When the kids misbehave, disciplining them is my role, so they dislike me and are fond of him because he spoils them. Anna and Ken are indifferent to discipline and education, so the kids do whatever they want. Honestly, I dread taking care of grandkids who don't mind their manners. But if they grow up this way, it'll be too late to change anything, so I have to be the disliked one. Feeling gloomy, I called in to work to notify them of my absence and apologize. One day, I received a call from Lynn, my youngest son's wife. While I often got calls from Anna, Lynn usually contacted me by email unless it was something urgent. Surprised, I answered the phone. Hello, mother-in-law. Is now a good time to talk? Yes, it's fine. What's up? Next month is your 60th birthday, so we'd like to celebrate your milestone. Would it be alright if Thomas, our daughter, and I come over on the weekend close to your birthday? I thought no one remembered my birthday. When Lynn suggested celebrating it, I couldn't help but smile. Well, you remembered? That's so sweet. Of course, it's okay. Feel free to stay over. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. I'll contact you again as it gets closer. Oh, and we want you to enjoy the day, so we'll take care of the meals and everything. Just relax for once. Normally, no one seems to care much about me, so Lynn's thoughtfulness was truly touching. Since Thomas's family lives out of state, they often stay over when they visit. Hosting usually involves some effort, but Lynn always brings extravagant gifts and even cleans the bedrooms and bathrooms despite my telling her not to, so it's no burden at all. Their only daughter, Emma, is well-behaved and a real sweetheart. I always look forward to seeing her. Looking forward to Thomas's family visits keeps me motivated through the daily grind and helps me cope with Anna's whims and my husband's unfairness. Then on the promised Saturday evening, I dressed up a bit and was waiting happily when the doorbell rang a bit earlier than expected. Peeking through the intercom screen, I saw Ken's family there. Startled, I asked my husband, "Why are Ken and his family here? Today was supposed to be Thomas's visit." "Well, I heard Thomas was coming for your 60th celebration, so I invited Ken too. More the merrier, right?" Hearing that, I was stunned. Why did you invite them without asking? Lynn has planned everything carefully, and with Ken's family here, it's all going to be a mess. With that, my husband got visibly upset and said, "What are you talking about? I invited them for you. Don't be selfish. Just let Ken and his family in." While we were arguing, the door opened, and Ken's family barged in. I had left the door unlocked thinking Thomas and his family were coming. I should have kept it locked, but it was too late. "Hello. Heard there's gonna be good food, so we came. It's your birthday, right? Happy birthday." Anna came in, of course, empty-handed. Ken flopped onto the sofa and demanded a drink. The room I had cleaned was quickly turned upside down by the kids. I felt like crying. Stunned, the doorbell rang again. This time, it must be Thomas's family. I opened the door with little energy. There stood Thomas holding a big bouquet, Lynn carrying shopping bags from the department store basement, and Emma, all dressed up adorably. Thanks everyone for coming. Mother-in-law, what's wrong? You don't look well. As Lynn started to say this, Anna came over without greeting, grabbed the shopping bag Lynn was holding, looked inside, and said, "Oh, deli food from the department store. Thomas really makes good money, huh? We can't afford such luxury items. I'll gladly take these." Then she hurried back inside. Those of us left in the entryway were dumbfounded.
So, your sister-in-law is here too?
Yes, my husband invited them unexpectedly, and they just showed up. I'm sorry for all the preparations you made.
Don't apologize. Although they took the food we prepared for you, we still have the cake left. I'll hide it in the fridge, and we can enjoy it later. Thank you.
When we entered the room, there were Ken's family and my husband, making a mess with the food Lynn had prepared. Hey! We're running out of food. Make something so Ken and the kids can eat more. Sorry, the kids are hungry. But, isn't this too little? Looks like there won't be enough for you and Thomas. Anna said this laughing, and Thomas replied with a bitter face. Well, that's because it was only prepared for Mom and us.
What? So, you're saying we were excluded? That's terrible.
Come on, Anna, give it a break. It's Mom's birthday after all. Isn't there any cake? Lynn quickly hid the cake box behind her back, but Ken noticed it, marched over, and grabbed the box.
There it is. Bring it out now. Hey, kids, cake time. Eat as much as you want.
All we could do was watch as Ken's family did whatever they pleased. My husband and Ken started drinking alcohol they took from the fridge, even though it was still daytime. Lynn and Thomas apologized to me with sad faces. Mother-in-law, we should have bought more. Sorry.
I'm sorry too. I didn't expect this to happen.
No, neither Mom nor Lynn are at fault. How about we go out to eat? While we were talking, my husband shouted at me.
Hey, come over here. Everyone gathered for you today. What are you doing if the guest of honor is missing?
Mother-in-law, please relax here. We'll use the kitchen to whip up something simple. No, it's okay. I need to go back, so you guys go out and enjoy a nice meal. I didn't want to serve Thomas and his family, who had come all the way from out of state, just a simple meal. We're fine, really. We came to celebrate your birthday today. That's right. We'll just grab whatever's in the fridge, so don't worry about us, Mom. That won't do. Go out and have a nice meal. There's nothing much in the fridge anyway. I'm really sorry. Then Emma, trying to cheer me up, said,
Grandma, then how about this? We'll buy some delicious bread and eat it together tomorrow morning.
With that, Thomas's family stepped out for a bit. As I returned to the living room, grateful to them, I found it in a terrible state. My husband and Ken were busy drinking. Anna was lounging around looking at her phone while munching on snacks from our house. And the kids were hyper-focused on video games, bouncing on the sofa. The table had only a few leftovers and a messed-up cake.
Why has it come to this?
I was so saddened that my eagerly anticipated 60th birthday celebration was ruined. But tonight, Thomas's family would be staying over. Tomorrow morning, I would have a joyful breakfast with Emma. Just as I was cheering up, Anna said something unbelievable.
We're staying over tonight, so make room for us. What? No, Thomas and his family are staying over tonight. What? If Thomas's family can stay, why can't we?
Despite living nearby, Anna's insistence on staying over was probably due to a sense of rivalry with Thomas's family.
We don't have enough bedding or room for so many people to stay.
We're fine with the sofa, and the kids can use your bedding.
Oh no!
What's with you, mother-in-law? You've been treating us like we're in the way. Is this discrimination? Normally, I would reluctantly give in to Anna's whims, but this time I didn't want to acquiesce. I wanted to have a nice time with Thomas's family. Although I had been arguing back at Anna, finally my husband shouted at me.
Enough! It's great our 3 adorable grandkids are staying over, isn't it? Looks like Thomas and his family have already left, so tonight we're having Ken and his family stay.
Once it had come to this, it was hopeless. My husband and Anna teamed up, and wouldn't listen to anything I said. Feeling it was unfair to involve Thomas's family further, I called Lynn to explain the situation and asked them to go back home for today. Ken's family stayed on, causing a ruckus at the house, and ate up all the breakfast the next morning before leaving. What was my 60th birthday celebration supposed to be? Seeing the bouquet that Thomas's family had left brought tears to my eyes. I decided to minimize my involvement with Ken's family as much as possible from then on. I started avoiding Ken's family more than ever. I stopped picking up calls from Anna, but that didn't stop her from showing up unannounced at our house. Thinking my health might suffer if this continued, I considered putting physical distance between us. So, I suggested something to my husband.
Hey, honey. This house is getting old. Why don't we move somewhere else and enjoy a peaceful retirement?
Oh, that sounds great. I've been wanting to move to Hawaii for our retirement. Things moved swiftly from there. My husband found an old house in Hawaii. It was quite aged but had a yard and was close to the beach. It might be a good property to live in after some renovations. One day, as we were preparing to move, my husband looked at his phone and said,
Ken and his family, along with the 3 grandkids, are also moving in. What? I hadn't heard about this. What do you mean? I just got an email from Ken. They're gonna live with us. Isn't that great?
Shocked, I immediately called Ken. After he reluctantly listened to me, he handed the phone to Anna.
Mother-in-law? It's Anna. I'm out right now, but what's up? What's up? You're moving in too!
Contrasting my frantic voice, Anna responded in a laid-back tone.
That thing. We thought it might be inconvenient for just you and father-in-law to live alone, so we decided to live with you.
You should be thankful.
I didn't ask for this. Actually, I've always dreamed of moving to Hawaii too. Ken is excited and says he's quitting his job, so we'll be coming with you.
If you refuse, we won't help with caregiving. I was speechless. I realized that Ken's family would follow us anywhere and disrupt my comfortable life. All their past mistreatment flashed through my mind. At that moment, I decided it was time to fight back. Until the day we moved to Hawaii, I kept up my usual smile. However, behind the scenes, I was arranging to rent a new apartment near Thomas's family for myself. When I told Thomas's family about the situation in Hawaii, Lynn made a proposal.
We've been thinking, why don't you live with us?
It was a generous offer, but I declined.
It's nice of you to say that, but I can't leave my husband behind.
Really? Haven't you considered divorce?
I might think about divorce eventually, but I can't burden you with that right now.
I felt it was unfair to drag Thomas's family into a divorce mess.
We want to repay you, mother-in-law. Thomas told us how much you've sacrificed for your family since he was a child. I really respect you.
Thank you for saying that.
Why don't you at least live near our home? I'll look for a good property.
Lynn's kindness touched my heart.
Thank you, Lynn. Is that okay?
Yes. Thomas and Emma would be thrilled. It's still a while off, but when you're ready to leave your husband, we'll take care of you. I truly felt blessed to have such wonderful children and in-laws. Thus, I made arrangements to have my belongings sent separately to the apartment Lynn had found for me. Now, everything was set for my counterattack. Imagining the shocked faces of my husband and Ken's family brought a smile to my face. On the day we moved to Hawaii, as soon as we landed at Naha Airport, we headed to the old house we had bought. My husband and Ken's family were excited, not knowing what kind of house awaited them. Our life in Hawaii is starting. Seriously looking forward to it. Dad, until I find a job, you'll have to support me with the savings. Well, I'll inherit everything later anyway, so it's all good, right? Yes, of course, that's the plan. Take your time finding a job. If you want anything, just ask Mom. You can live it up for a while. Considering the revenge that was about to begin, such conversations didn't bother me. After a few minutes, we arrived at the house. It was much more rundown than the photos suggested, looking like it could fall apart in a storm. The yard was overgrown with weeds. The roof was peeling in places, likely to leak if not fixed.
What is this? It's different from the photos. Were we tricked?
We're living here? I don't like this.
Seriously? What's going on?
While my husband and Anna's spirits were clearly dampened, I alone knew about this. When my husband first found this property, the vast land size and low price didn't add up, so I called the real estate agent. They informed me that the photos were several years old and hadn't been updated, and that the house was in such bad condition that no local buyers were interested, which is why it was so cheap. I had deliberately kept silent about this. Even if I had advised that the property my husband found was bad, he wouldn't have listened to me. In hindsight, my decision was correct. Seeing my husband, who never doubts he's right, completely shocked and dumbfounded was amusing, and I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. As we entered the house, the moving truck with my belongings arrived.
This isn't the house I was expecting.
Well, let's just remodel it to make it comfortable. It might be fun, if you think about it. My husband seemed to be trying to convince himself. I guess so. I'm too tired today, let's unpack tomorrow. Mom, get lunch ready. Anna, who had been complaining, perked up at Ken's mention of lunch.
I want to eat Hawaiian food. Like Loco Moco. That sounds great. And pick up some beers too.
Saying this, my husband and Ken's family relaxed comfortably. The grandkids were ecstatic, exploring the new house. Pretending to go shopping, I grabbed a taxi nearby and headed back to the airport. I had some time before my pre-booked flight, so I enjoyed shopping at the airport and bought lots of souvenirs for Thomas's family. By the time I arrived at my new apartment, it was already late at night. I turned on my phone for the first time in hours. Then I saw dozens of frantic calls from my husband. Thinking about it, I remembered that I had all the bank books, credit cards, and cash with me, so they must be struggling without any money by now. Not to mention, I hadn't set up any utilities like electricity, gas, or water. My husband and Ken's family probably assumed I had taken care of these contracts beforehand and hadn't worried about it. As I was sighing and debating whether to call back, my phone rang. It was my husband.
Hey! Finally picked up the phone. Where are you now? Do you know how many times I've called? Everyone is furious and waiting.
I could hear his desperate voice, but I calmly replied. Oh, I thought you all were having fun without me. You can keep that house. I'm not coming back, so you all better stick together.
What are you talking about? What about our food? We haven't eaten anything since lunch.
Even now, you care more about your food than my well-being?
Huh. Of course.
His words made my decision firm. I'm definitely going to divorce him. I still have things to handle, so for now, I need to be patient.
Also, we can't use the electricity or water. What's going on?
Only notice now, huh?
Don't joke with me. Come back right now.
Hearing my furious husband's voice made me burst into laughter. No, I will never return.
What? You think this is acceptable?
I'm not looking for your approval. A helpless husband always boasting, Anna who is all talk and no action, Ken who avoids responsibility, and their undisciplined children. How they will manage to live in that rundown house is beyond me. I'm tired of being manipulated by you and Ken's family. I'm going to live my life from now on. You take good care of your beloved eldest son and grandchildren. With that, I hung up the phone and turned it off. That night, I slept deeply, exhausted from the day's events. The next morning, I woke up to a refreshing sunrise. Looking around my spacious bed, my new furniture tailored to my tastes, and my clean new apartment, I felt a surge of excitement about my new life just for me. As I was about to prepare breakfast with the tea I had ordered for this day, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I found Lynn and Emma standing there. Mother-in-law, sorry to disturb you so early. We thought we'd check on how you're settling into your new life.
Grandma, I brought some bread. Let's eat together. Oh, I'm so glad you came. This room is very comfortable. Thank you for finding such a nice place. Come on in. I just made some tea.
As we drank tea, I recounted yesterday's events to Lynn.
It worked out well. It's great that you're free from such arrogant people. Thank you for your help. I feel so relieved. You're not done yet, mother-in-law. We need to make sure they never speak to you like that again. Keep this Saturday free. I'll bring them over.
Lynn said with a sly smile. Days passed with me ignoring calls from my husband and Ken's family until the promised Saturday. Waiting as Lynn instructed, soon Lynn brought my husband and Anna to my door. My husband and Anna barged into the house without asking and sat on my new sofa.
If Lynn contacted you, what is this place? You've been living here alone. That's so unfair. Because of you, we've been living horribly. We've been eating discounted meals almost every meal. Our place is dirty. We're out of money. And no electricity or water. How is that even possible? Why didn't you set up the contracts?
Watching the two of them cause a racket, Lynn sharply said. Quiet down. Why don't you handle your own meals and utilities? She's not your housekeeper.
What? Why are you butting in all of a sudden? That's right. Did you put her up to this?
Seeing them objectively, my husband and Anna really are selfish people. Now I have Lynn on my side. There's no better time than now to bring up divorce. I felt liberated.
I want a divorce.
Upon hearing this, my previously noisy husband stopped dead and looked at me in shock.
What are you saying? Who do you think has been supporting you all this time? Yeah, what's gotten into you, mother-in-law? It's not sudden. I've been thinking about divorcing you for a long time. I can't stand to share the same air with you any longer. You're joking, right?
I presented the divorce papers, already signed by me, to my husband.
It's no joke. I don't need you in my life anymore. You must be kidding.
Screaming, my husband tore the divorce papers to shreds. But that was expected. I pulled out another set of divorce papers I had prepared beforehand. Tearing them up is useless. I have several copies.
What the heck? How do you plan to live without me? Can you afford the rent and living expenses for this place? Huh. If you apologize now, I'll forgive you.
Thinking that yelling would make me listen, my husband is foolish. Lynn, unable to contain a snicker, said, Seriously? Dad, don't you know your mother-in-law has enough savings to be independent?
What? Mother-in-law, you were only working part-time. You couldn't have saved much, right?
I have a pharmacy degree, and I was earning more than double the typical hourly wage. Even though I was part-time, saving over decades means I have more than enough to live on my own. Yes, I have worked continuously so far as a pharmacist. My husband doesn't know about the money I have saved steadily.
Yes, pharmacists are in high demand, and finding another job would be easy. That's right. You were earning that much.
I will live a comfortable life in this house. Why don't you all hurry back to Hawaii? Didn't you leave Ken and the kids there anyway?
No way. I want to live here too. I thought I could live with you because you do all the housework and you had money, but Dad is useless. What? Don't mess with me.
Anna, that's too much. Well, it's true though. Lynn and I couldn't help but laugh. Anna clung to me, sobbing. Finally, my husband seemed to understand his situation, biting his lip, and said,
Damn. We can't make it without you. Please come back. That's what I've been telling you. No. Please. I'll do apologize. Your apology wouldn't change my mind. The divorce papers will be sent to the house in Hawaii later. Now, I'm going to have tea with Lynn, so you better leave.
My husband and Anna were still making noise, but when I threatened to call the police, they reluctantly left.
Wow, mother-in-law, you were so cool. Dad's panic was hilarious. It felt so good to finally say what I've been thinking for years. Lynn, thank you for backing me up. Not at all. I've heard so much about you from Thomas, and I wanted to help.
Then Lynn shared what Thomas had told her. Thomas had always felt inferior compared to his brother Ken and was complex about being frail. My husband had always been indifferent or overly harsh to Thomas, and Ken had looked down on him. Despite this, as his mother, I always supported Thomas and treated him kindly, which apparently kept him from going astray. Also, I had secretly used the money I earned to fund Thomas's education, which he knew about, and had always wanted to repay me for when he got married. Lynn herself, having seen how hardworking and devoted I was, always felt oppressed and wanted to save me. This was the perfect opportunity to help, she said.
So that was it. I owe you both so much. Don't mention it. It was your past actions that made us want to help. We really wished you could have lived with us.
It turns out Lynn was seriously considering having me live with them.
I appreciate you saying that.
If you ever feel like living with us, just let us know. Also, if you're serious about the divorce, one of my friends from college is a lawyer. Shall I introduce you? He could represent you at a great rate.
Really? That would help a lot. I'm done with such a husband. Right, let's just cut ties then.
After that, I divorced my husband through the lawyer Lynn introduced me to. My husband resisted until the end, saying, "I don't want to split up," but he finally gave in after the lawyer firmly told him off. I was prepared to let go without any property settlement for a quick separation, but Lynn scolded me, "You should take as much as you can." Following her advice, I ended up receiving more money than expected, which now allows me to live luxuriously and still leave something for Thomas's family. Eventually, my ex-husband and Ken's family sold the house in Hawaii. That was expected. There wouldn't have been any money left for renovations. Ken's family moved back to their cheap apartment, and my ex-husband moved in with them. They seemed to be relying on my ex-husband's savings, but those funds dwindled quickly due to the divorce settlement, and with 6 people, their resources were soon exhausted. Even Anna, who had always said she didn't want to work, apparently started working part-time due to their financial struggles. The impoverished ex-husband and Ken's family constantly fought, and Thomas told me they even came to his family asking for money. Of course, Thomas's family turned them away. Later, my ex-husband and Ken's family also showed up at my door.
"You're the only one for me. Please, let's start over. Mom, we were wrong. Mother-in-law, I'm so sorry for everything. We can't even pay this month's rent. Could you lend us just a little money, please?"
Seeing their pathetic begging, I occasionally entertain them when I'm in a good mood. Now that I'm not restricted by my ex-husband, I work about 5 days a week as I please. With the money I earn, I can afford slightly better groceries than before. Also, being closer to Thomas's family, Lynn and Emma often come to visit. On weekends, Thomas comes over too, and it has become a routine for us all to have meals together. They all enjoy the meals I cook, which makes it all the more rewarding for me. Being praised for my cooking, I recently decided to improve further and started attending cooking classes. In class, I've made friends for the first time in decades, and we enjoy going out for lunch and chatting on weekends. When I'm baking cookies with Emma or enjoying my reading hobby, I feel a serene happiness I never knew before. I've gained a deep connection with Thomas's family and a new life by letting go of my husband and Ken's family. I'm truly glad I took decisive action.